Come on out, you sick bastard! You open this door, Kruger! What do you think I did? I didn't do anything!
I'm having these dreams. And there's this man. And he's burnt.
Don't fall asleep. You have nothing to worry about. This won't hurt one little bit.
A long time ago, I talked about the first movie, the franchise of horror, or flicks, a classic movie of Nightmare on Elm Street. And I was going to talk about the franchise, but I was too sticked up to other video games and other movie reviews. Plus, I've been having this hat for a very long time since I was younger. Actually, let me take this off. It's kind of a little too tight there. I don't know what's the point of me wearing that hat. Just a string on my freaking neck. It's really hard for me to talk about it. Anyways, let me explain about this movie's history. The reason why this movie was created a long time ago in 2010. You already know about Wes Craven's great movies back in the late 70s. Hills Have Eyes. Using his other creative horror flicks of the Freddy Krueger franchise, played by Robert Englund, that does a pretty good job playing Freddy Krueger. And the original cast were pretty great back in the day in 1984, which is already 41 years ago. Most of the actors already aren't around anymore, except for Robert Englund. No one can do a pretty good topic actor than him. But it's time for me to finally talk about this remake that nobody asked for. I would say the only good thing about this movie is some of the graphics aren't half bad, but sometimes the CGI can be pretty bad. And the actor who played Freddy Krueger's name is Jackie Earle Haley. I'll get to his character in a moment. I'm going to explain about this movie's history time. And yes, this movie came out in March 30th, 2010. Or half the time, like in good old classic original movies back in the late 80s and 90s were popular back in the day. And we all know that Wes Craven was not going to be around for much longer. Or that he died from brain cancer, which is sad. And this movie was directed by Michael Bay, which you know him from doing Bad Boys. He's the Transformers franchise. and most likely the TMNT movies that most people dislike about them. So yeah, well, history about this film story. You know, it took them like a long time to do this project idea, having perfect actors to play their roles, like Carl Greenler as Quentin Smith, Katie Cassidy as Chris Falls, Emily Murray as Nancy, the main hero. Let's see. Her environment is also Natalie Brooke. I guess that's supposed to be her younger, older self. Thomas Dekker is Jesse, her boyfriend. And there's like lots of less of characters. Nancy Brown is in it too, as Alan Smith. So on and so forth. Actually, I'll make it easy for you and just show it to you right now. There's like the cast of the characters. And no, come on. Go back. Come on, go back. No, come on. Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 cast. Here's all the rest of the cast, so I don't have to say all of their names. Blah, 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 blah. They do their roles okay, but most of them are kind of, nah. Does have some blood and gore in it. The cast members are alright, I guess, but some of them are not as good as the original cast. Enough of that, I'm going to go ahead and explain about the story. It's kind of like similar to the movie story. Since I'm not allowed to show what's in the movie, so I won't get copyrighted. At least I'd show the trailer. It's just kind of simple that people will fall asleep, they'll die in real life. Even they have to find the killer that does it all, which is obviously Freddy Krueger, or himself. Well, like in the original movie, they don't do too many kills as they expect it to be. For Freddy Krueger himself murdering teenagers in their dreams. So it's kind of like nearly similar to the original movie, but darker and scary. And every time they fall asleep, he would almost kill them or just make fun of them. His first victim was Jesse, and he actually killed. Oh wait, the teenage girl. Oh, he kills first. There's some mistakens. Her to make it look like he murdered her, but ends up in jail, just like in the original one, but doesn't get all tangled up by the cloth and he hangs him, but stabs him when he is falling asleep. In other words, Freddy Krueger just messes with them instead of killing them. And one by one. There's only like 5 deaths in the movie, including Maria's death. And there's like a budget scene in Freddy coming out of the wall and the CGI looks like garbage. That's kind of like the main problem in the movie, that they had to reuse some of the scenes that they did in the original movie. And there's like a bit of his backstory. Yeah, that he used to be a gardener, and he did like horrible things to young kids. That's why he's played by Jack Hurley Haley, which for some reason in this movie makes him a child predator. I mean, the original movie just kills them for obvious reasons, since they find him as a murderous monster. Or make him a horrible, nasty person. And so they know he had his powers when they find him as a monster and did horrible things to them. So, unfortunately, about the remake, they make him like a freaking... I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Have his wave of young teenage ways of pedophilia, which makes him a despicable person in the remake. Makes him such a standard villain. And here's some of the scenes of the bathtub terror, which she doesn't drown out endless void of water. That's kind of like the main problem about this remake. When I first saw this, I was getting so bored of watching it, and it has like minor problems of making Freddy Krueger as scary as possible. In this remake, he looks like one of those blue avatars from James Cameron's Avatar. Sure, they had to make him look all burned up, but he looks like a zombie. In the original one, he looks pretty good. And has like long stretchy arms and wonderful effects. Half the time he looks good, but sometimes it just seems like they take it a little too far to his acting role of making him have his way with pretty young teenage lady like Nancy, which makes it kind of uncomfortable to watch. Since this movie came out like 15 years ago, that's like minor problems about this film's story plot, that they reused some of the scenes from the original film. Yeah, there's a lot of bad things about it. It's kind of the reason why nobody talks about the 2010 of Nightmare on Elm Street story. It just seemed a little bit dragged on at times, that they had to make this Freddy Krueger, or in other words, a child I can't say it. I don't want to say it. The M word. Let's just say he just makes him a disturbing character and make him more scary. Oh yeah, and there's like slight problems in the movie. It does have like a few jump scares here and there. It's like too quiet and you can barely hear the music playing. It seemed to have minor problems. It has like more than one ending, the ultimate ending of Freddy Krueger's character. So yeah, lots of people talked about this movie to death already, so there's not much else to say about this film having its problem of the story acting like the same as the original of Freddy Krueger movie of Nightmare on Elm Street. They just had to spend all that money's worth, and nobody talks about this film at all. There's a reason why it has slight minor problems. Sure, they have like wonderful settings back in the day, but that's like the main problem that, and they just had to make a remake. You playing exactly the same as they did back in the day because they're just running out of ideas. Just redoing the rehash stories again because they did that a long time ago. So in other words, it tries to be as scary as possible, which they do succeed, but half the time it just seemed like another remake that nobody asked for, next to Friday the 13th, which was the very first one that started in 2009. That time in Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 was released it. That the CGI's graphics aren't as impressive as those wonderful effects back in the 80s using puppeteers. It just seemed a little bit off at times that they cannot decide to make it half as scary as it seems. I kind of find the main character, Nancy, not as interesting as the original Nancy was, that she was a total badass and she set up traps like that. In the movie, she just falls asleep just to take on Freddy Krueger and bring him to the real world and kill him off instantly. It's just a remake that nobody really wanted to begin with. So it's kind of entirely pointless movie that didn't need to be a thing now. There are some good remakes and pretty bad ones, and some of them were just a huge waste of time and energy. Didn't need to be a thing. It just has its slighter other problems here and there. It just needed more professional story. So, in other words, it just ain't much of a good remake. So, I kind of give Nightmare on Elm Street the remake. It has like minor problems. Let's try to be as the original movie is. A freaking 2 out of 3 out of 10. It's kind of like the main problem with the movie remakes these days. They didn't have like much energy inside them anymore. Sure, the actors tried to do their best making this movie impressive, but it seems to fail at most point of making remakes. Ain't that impressive anymore. Those of you like watching in the original movie, just go ahead and look it up. Just stay as far away from Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 as much as possible. And kind of ruin a pretty good franchise of having Robert Englund playing in good Freddy Krueger. So, yeah, there's not much else for me to say that this remake of Nightmare on Elm Street is pretty bad. Just give me a second. They know how to make pretty good movies. He's impressive, but this one just seemed really off and pretty average. Each film. So, yeah, this is a pretty much a mediocre film. So, I'm sorry if those of you like this movie or not. It just didn't need to be a thing now. It just seemed like it didn't need to exist. Sure, there are some great blood and gore in it, but other than that, it just didn't need to be a thing, so that's all I get to say about Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. Thank you all for watching. It just ain't that good of a film. It just had its waste of potential. It just seemed such a bore at times. It just try to be impressive, but it's not really good remake. It just failed to succeed from the original one. It just I don't know what to say anymore. It's just pathetic remake of all time. So, yeah. Just watch the original movie. You'll be impressed to watch the older, greater effects back then. This one can go into the dumpster trash where it belongs. Goodbye.